Episode 6.
Negation Part 2. Takudo-sama, the final king who rules over destruction. It's a precious and a great name. When referring to him, you shall call him Ira-sama or Takudo-sama. The Dark Elves bowed even deeper as Atu spoke. For the first time, Takudo's name was announced in this world, and it was engraved on their hearts. Atu nodded with satisfaction at their attitude. Takudo, the final king, was a name that Atu decided herself without any consideration from Takudo. She is well aware of the privilege of being able to call him by his first name. Even so, in this place, she planned to strengthen her relationship with her master. Atu didn't notice, because she is secretly thinking about such an idea. Still, when she announced the name, the old man who is lowering his head is trembling. Takudo is the only one who noticed that. My name is Atu. Don't use the same title as Takudo-sama. Takudo-sama is the supreme king who will always be admired. My status is different from him. Besides, you don't need to remember my name. Takudo-sama. Atu don't know. I have engraved that name on this old bone. I will also tell our race and promise to carve that name into our souls. Well, then quickly take the food away. Some won't last long. My king can create it without limits with just a swing of his hand. However, there is no reason to let it rot. From her attitude seemed that she is getting bored. Actually, she's already lost interest in negotiating with them. Everything about her belonged to the king. The person herself understands and hopes the same thing. If it weren't for Takudo, she wouldn't waste time talking to other people. Therefore, she wants to end it immediately and be praised by her master again. Oh, please wait. That, we all discussed how we could repay the king's generosity for saving us. Does the king want something like tribute? The Dark Elves' leader's words erased her imagination of Takudo patting her head. Apparently, their negotiation hasn't over yet. Even though she looked a little annoyed, Atu is not angry. She then made an unusual offer. Tribute? Can you prepare something that can satisfy our king? Forgive us. This is so embarrassing. We don't know what Takudo-sama will like, and we can't even imagine it. First of all, we'd like to hear what the king wishes for. Is that so? Then it is not necessary. You all can't afford it, right? Quickly wave her hand. While exhaling, Atu shook her head to the left and right. Although said to be a tribute, she didn't think hungry refugees like them have something to offer. The possibility of them possessing rare items such as artifacts cannot be denied. Still, Atu only wants to push them away from her kings. In the game at the early phase, when a nation's foundation is still fragile, even the smallest error can be fatal. There might be enemies still chasing them who fled from their homeland. No, but then. I said we don't need it. But, what kind of attitude do you have? My king is busy. Or are you plotting something? No. We would never do such a thing. Atu's irritation manifested in her attitude. At the same time, her impatience emerges. The jet black does not even try to hold her murderous intention, because her neck had started to groan. Ability possessed by Atu is hero, evil, and fanaticism. Each of her abilities has the effect of multiplying the unit's basic combat strength. Then, her additional ability is the destroyed unit acquisition capability. The more combat she does, the stronger she becomes. On the other hand, the Dark Elves are in a hunger state, and they can't win. At this level, the current Atu can handle the problem easily. Therefore, for a combat unit to instantly kill magic units is just a piece of cake. Even killing a group of Dark Elves using the reverse katana is not difficult. If she doesn't consider ethical issues, killing them all will be beneficial for her and Takudo. Yeah, it's a terrible atmosphere. Takudo gave up hope that these negotiations would end soon. Especially since the beginning, Atu had misunderstood them initially. She didn't even like to exchange words, but she acts as an intermediary for the sake of her master. That is why she wanted to solve the entire problem by quickly ending the conversation. On the other hand, it is different for the Dark Elves. For this pathetic group, this negotiation is their first and last option. Maybe this is a turning point in destiny that will affect their fate. Even if they survive this situation, there is no next. There's no food and no guarantee the Dark Elves can find another place to live. Therefore, even if they feel suspicious, it is natural for them to actively negotiate with the King of Ruin. Kudo could analyze everything from a broad perspective. Still, Atu only cares about Takudo, and she only thinks for the short term. However, in his current state, Takudo had no intention of allowing such a conflict. Takudo decided that he should help. When he finally made that decision, he coughed softly and made a sound. Atu. Yes, my king. Atu quickly turned towards Takudo and stood by his side. In order not to be seen by the Dark Elves, she turned towards Takudo. She showed a displeased facial expression, her cheeks bulging out like a whining child. It seemed that she is irritated by the negotiation that didn't make any progress. Seichi gets closer, so that only Takudo could hear her words, and then her complaint words began to line up. Takudo-sama. They are terrible at negotiating. Seem that they are plotting something. They are bad guys. Let's just kill them. Relax, relax, and calm down. You're not that good either. Takudo thought so, but he keeps it inside. The first half was good, but the second half was a bit off. However, he also felt ashamed that he couldn't communicate himself, and had left everything to this young girl. It was a fact that the negotiation between Atu and the Dark Elves had not progressed at all. It seemed that Atu wanted to end the negotiations immediately. On the other side, as the leader of the Dark Elf, Mortar could not give up. Given it's natural for her to say never to approach them again, but her attitude of forcefully ending the meeting made them more frustrated. Seichi didn't want Takudo to feel uncomfortable, but that only amplified the misunderstanding between Atu and Mortar. If we just leave them alone, it will only harm Takudo-sama. We better kill them all. Now while their necks are exposed, Takudo-sama. Regarding tribute. You remember that we have evil attributes, don't you? That's why they are worried that we are plotting something behind their back. Isn't that normal? Oh. I see. Then, let's get some compensation here in a way that they are satisfied with. That would reassure them, and would probably bring them a little more in-depth talk. Anyway, that old man is an interesting person. Takudo still wants to enjoy negotiating with them. He never had the opportunity to speak to others, and now he shows some interest. That's great. As expected, my king. You could see that far. I understand. Leave it to me to do the rest. Wait. Atu quickly turns her back, and continues to negotiate. Surely she doesn't understand. Takudo felt that way, but he has a communication disorder issue, and had no choice but to leave the negotiations to her. I see. So that kind of thing, Atu whispered with a relaxed and seductive voice. Well, you are really troublesome idiots. Did they feel something unusual in her voice? A group of elves can only lower their heads deeper. I couldn't even notice without the words from my king. Geez, to think that you see Takudo-sama same as some evil spirits, that wandering in the mountain. Oh no, there is no such thing. Great person. Shut up. The word of my king is absolute. And rejoice. My king will not consider your dark fairy's shallow thinking. He allowed the alms given without any contract. In other words, we will receive some kind of tribute in exchange. Is this okay? Percent you should know about the absolute law of contract. Are you relieved now? Ah, yes, yes. Thank you very much for your generous consideration. Elder Mortar doesn't want to further refute Atu's speculation, he only showed his gratitude. Refuting is a bad move, because he could be seen as disrespecting the king. While talking to Atu, he realized that she had no sympathy for them. If that is the case, compensation is necessary. Compensation. Atu glanced turned to Takuto. With the sad eyes of the little girl. Even if she didn't say it, he knew what it meant. Takuto-sama help me. Even though she has boasted that much, if Takuto steps in now, that will only make Atu's reputation fall. Atu is Takuto's favorite, so all her faults will be erased. After all, Atu will help him as a negotiation supporter. However, in the end, Takuto still has to make the decision about outside. My king is interested in the outside world. You guys came from far, right? Tell us everything you know about the outside world. Let's use it as the price of food and fulfill the contract. Are you satisfied with this? Then this Mortar. Everything this old man sees and hears will be presented to you. It is not a complicated problem. All this happened because of their misunderstanding. Though so far Atu could guess his mind well, when everything was left to her, it turned out to be chaos. Takuto thinks about why Atu feels discomfort, but no matter how hard he scratches his head, the answer won't come out. Eventually, he decided to convince himself that it's just her nature to die, and this way, the negotiations are almost over. However, there was an event that caught his heart. Then, leave the forest once the contract is completed. Yes, understood. He is trembling, as usual. Atu still didn't notice it, but Takuto could see Elder Mortar's confusion. At the same time, his brain quickly organizes the information. As far as their attitude is concerned, Takuto's guess is almost correct. It's not too difficult to derive the answer from their attitude. We allow you to stay for a while. You will need time to rest. But remember, it's not for long. Surely living on the run is hard. If this food supply runs out, there is no hope. The Dark Elves said that they were banished from their homeland at their last meeting. According to reports of long-leg bugs, the Dark Elf group is about 500 people. Anyway, traveling nomads on that scale are extremely difficult. The tribute they offer is actually so that the King of Ruin feels pleased. Maybe these negotiations are meant to get permission to stay here and regulate their food safety. However, I don't want them to stay here for too long. Refugees with different affiliations can only get in the way of creating a country. And it might bring more trouble. Different races cause various problems in eternal nations. Of course, it is the same in the real world. Those with different cultures and ideas. Good and evil are bound to fight each other, even if they didn't have any intention to do something stupid, like starting a conflict. If the king is kindly allowing us to reside in this forest, then no happiness can exceed this. We can't allow that. This land is owned by my king, Takuto-sama, and my king wants peace. If you don't want to waste your life that just survived, then shut your mouth and leave this place. It turns out they wanted to ask permission to stay. But first, the territory of the evil nation, Mynoghra, is cursed, which is one of the game attributes. The impact is the status of the neutral attribute unit will become negative, though I also don't know exactly what will happen. Cursed land favors evil race. Although there are various benefits for the evil race, there are disadvantages for neutral attributes. That's why he didn't stop Atu from trying to get rid of the Dark Elves from the forest. He doesn't know if the system will be exactly like the game. Maybe there is no problem at all. Certain parts need more verification. But for some reason, Takuto was convinced that rule would also work in this world. That's why, unfortunately, they have to get out of here. However, abandoning them after I feed them will make me feel uncomfortable, and they might fall deeper. Even though Takuto gave the Dark Elves some food created by him with magical power that cannot be recharged at present. Even though their life has extended, do they have to continue their aimless journey and die? Takuto wasn't satisfied with that. Instead of sympathy, Takuto felt frustrated that his action will go in vain. Then, the great king, Ira Takuto-sama. Thank you for allowing us to have an audience this time. Well, everyone bows before the king, then carry the foods quietly. Is there any way to solve it? The meeting is about to end. Seemed that the elder Mortar and the accompanying Dark Elf warriors didn't dare to ask for anything more, because they worried that might anger Atu. Their expressions look so exhausted. King of Mynoghra should have infinite power. Takuto was called the legendary player in Eternal Nations. For some reason, he felt that he is unworthy. Hey, you all. His words came out naturally. His power and Mynoghra civilization's power. This kind of problem can be solved if he feels like it. Be my citizen. He came up with a great way to solve everything. He was wondering why he had not done it until now. However, the smile and words that Takuto confidently uttered were replied by everyone with gaping mouths and eyes that seemed to say, "What are you talking about?" Not only the Dark Elves, even Atu is staring at him that moment. Takuto understood that he had made a big mistake in communication. He reaffirmed his communication problems and desperately holding his tears that about to spill.
The Eterpedia or translator note is on this video description. Please like or subscribe. Thank you.